are heating up, and I still don't care. Hey YouTube, welcome back to We Sibz, West Coast, East Coast siblings, where we cover your favorite movies and TV shows, and tonight we are covering Debris, episode 3. You guys, if you've been following me so far, you know that the show kind of sucks. It gets a little bit better and a teeny bit better every week, and then, you know, it kind of just goes downhill and continues to suck. So we are going to cover everything that happened in this episode, and then I'm going to give you a review of how I'm feeling about the series so far. So stay tuned, and let's get into it. Also, I know I have sunglasses on, and it's like 9 o'clock at night. It's been a busy day, okay? And there's a whole lot going on We Sibz, so click the bell. So the first thing that happens in this episode is we learn that there is a giant square in the middle of Ohio, I believe. It's a 2D square, and some girl named Nicole is calling out of it, saying she can see people, she can see lights, but she can't reach them. Sorry if I keep I'm looking at my notes here. So what's interesting about this is that Nicole disappeared in 2019 before the debris fell from above. So how is she communicating with them? And does the square have anything to do with the debris? Who knows? Also, there is no debris in this episode, or at least not immediately when we see the square pop up. And that's why Brian and Finola are like, this is so strange. This is a debris-related event, but where's the piece of the spacecraft? So throughout the episode, obviously, they're trying to figure out how to connect with Nicole, how to communicate with her in order to help her to get out of this two-dimensional square. Another important thing that happens in this episode at the beginning is we see Brian in what looks like an MRI machine, and he is getting tested, he's getting checked on since the events of last week where he was cloned by the debris. Now the scientist slash doctor lady girl says that everything looks normal, his biology is normal and whatnot, and Greg, the CIA director, whose name I found out this week, seems to, feel confident about that. But I want to point out that Brian and Greg have this conversation where Brian doesn't feel right about not telling Finola that they found her father alive and in the US doing some sort of nefarious activity. I don't know why Brian cares. He and Finola, whatever, he seems to care about his partner all of a sudden, and he thinks he's having this big ethical issue with not telling her that her father's alive and that she should be involved in this. And Greg just kind of blows him off. So there's that. Now, the key to figuring out this whole box in the middle of a field in Ohio is that George Jones, Finola's father, theorized that there were dimensions, more than 2 or 3 or 4, but there were 11 dimensions, and they're all sort of on top of each other / intertwined so closely that we can't see them, but they do interact. And there are little pockets that allow one to pass from our dimension and into another. Now, it turns out that homegirl Nicole accidentally just walked into another dimension while she was waiting for her pa in the store. And that's how she gets stuck in the box. The box seems to be one of those gateways that George Jones was talking about that connects our dimension to a bunch of other dimensions. And I would just like to point out that the other dimension seems super boring because the one that Nicole's in is pretty much just a giant field that she's been wandering around for a couple of hours. So just gonna throw that out there. Usually when stories introduce another dimension, there's some sort of cool stuff going on, angels, demons, aliens, something interesting. Nope, just grass. So long story short, in the fashion of what we now know to be Debris' kind of way, they figure out how to break Nicole out by using a piece of the debris that they found in relation to the box, and they stick the debris through this paper thin wall, and they're able to reach out to Nicole and pull her through, and somehow a bunch of other people come through too, which I thought was a little lazy. I mean, how come you only had to touch one of them to pull all 58 billion people out of this dimensional block thing? But whatever, as you can see, guys, I'm getting a little salty. Anyway, Nicole is saved. She has an emotional come to Jesus moment with her father, and it's beautiful. Finola's so happy for them, and a bunch of missing people who have been missing since, I don't know, 1978 or something. They come back. Also want to note too, I'm not sure if this is important to us. I watched this episode with my family and they were kind of loud, so I definitely missed some stuff. So definitely get at me in the comments if I've missed something important in this episode again, like calling the Hubble telescope a Hubble spacecraft. Gracious me. Let me know in the comments if I missed something important in this episode. But at the end, Greg learns from his boss that Tarkalov is in the US. Who the heck is Tarkalov? Is he someone I should know? Is he someone you guys know that I don't know? I don't know who this guy is, but this is a big problem for Greg. Also, do I care? Finally, at the end of this episode, Greg is, in the warehouse where the debris spaceship is, that Orbital is that Orbital is reconstructing secretly, and all of a sudden all of the metal starts shifting and being sucked into the spaceship, and the debris seems to be active all of a sudden, where it's been dormant every time that we've seen it in the series so far. Now to my review. I just want to point out, all of a sudden, and I know that we've seen, clips of these other characters, clips of Brian and Finola's team throughout the episodes that we've seen, but all of a sudden, Muntz is some guy that I guess they've have a previous relationship with. He's like the scientist person, and he's like, oh, it's impossible. I can't talk to Nicole without the debris. And the whole time he was talking, I'm like, who are you? I guess Finola and Brian have a team, and we are just now starting to see them. It felt like, an NCIS team situation, but with NCIS, we actually know the other characters on the team. I don't know who the heck Muntz is. Just saying. Also, I found it kind of annoying that Finola, once again, is like, really emotional. He misses his daughter and he's having these dreams and he's emotionally connected to her. And I get it. There is some similarity between the father missing his daughter and Finola and George Jones and all of that strange complexity. But honestly, only a keen eye would pick up on that. I feel like they didn't really dig into the similarities. So I don't know. Maybe Finola being hyper emotional about this episode was the connective tissue. Also, it is always raining in this show. How does that make sense? They're going to different states throughout the country, and yet it's always raining and overcast. I mean, it's just not like that in the real world. All right, you guys, that is all I have for Debris episode 3. Like this video if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified, because we are covering everything that is happening this week. We've got the Snyder Cut. We've got Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've got Superman and Lois and The Flash. We are pretty DC heavy this week, you guys, but don't worry, we still love Marvel. Anyway, so click the bell so you can be notified of our coverage of all of those things. Did you guys catch that new Snyder Cut trailer? Check out Christopher's video on that. I'm super excited. Definitely being a fangirl. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for all of your comments. I'm really enjoying discussing the show with you guys. And you know what? I know a lot of you guys are like, I'm gonna give it 2 or 3 episodes, but I ask you, let's stick it out together. Let's see if it's worth watching at the end of all of this. Okay, guys. Bye.